Neither Better Trades or any of its personnel are registered broker-dealers or investment advisors. I will mention that I consider certain securities or positions to be good candidates for the types of strategies we are discussing or illustrating. Because I consider the securities or positions appropriate to the discussion or for illustration purposes does not mean that I'm telling you to trade the strategies or securities. Keep in mind that we are not providing you with recommendations or personalized advice about your trading activities. The information we are providing is not tailored to any particular individual. Any mention of a particular security is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold that or any other security or a suggestion that it is suitable for any specific person. Keep in mind that all trading involves a risk of loss, and this will always be the situation regardless of whether we are discussing strategies that are intended to limit risk. Also, Better Trades personnel are not subject to trading restrictions. I and others at Better Trades could have a position in a security or initiate a position in a security at any time.
Hello, and welcome out to the big guys. Hopefully you've had a great weekend, and looking forward to a good week. Have one interesting piece of news, but let's get the quote done first. And this one just hit me just right. I just found it the other day. It says, if you believe strongly in something, don't be afraid to fight for it. And one of the things, especially with respect to trading, because it is so difficult, it is so challenging to succeed in the market. Regardless of market conditions, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, the market is the market, and there are periods where, we have some sideways moves, and it's not as easy to trade, but at the same time, it's always challenging. So those times are just a little more challenging because the moves are a little less consistent. They're not as easy. When we're in a nice, solid trend, it's usually a little bit easier. And notice I said a little bit. I didn't say it's easy. I said it's a little bit easier than the normal challenge. Because the trend is your friend. When the trend's working in your favor and you can maybe feel a little more comfortable hanging on to something maybe a little bit longer, or it moves faster and quicker, it's easier. When things are going sideways, like they basically have been for the last year and a half, it is more challenging. So, because the swings can be wild and you can get, up one day and down the next, and you get a 20, 30 point move one day and then it all gets taken back the next. So, no doubt, it's always challenging. But hopefully it looks like the trend is moving downward, and we may be in a position where we'll be trending lower. Whether you like that or not, I don't have any control over it. So whether it's supposed to be, it just is what it is. So there's no sense in not taking advantage of it if that's what it's going to be. So, but the key is fight for it. I mean, trading's, it's going to be challenging always. I'm coming up. I got about 2.5 months to my 16th anniversary. It was April 3rd and 4th of 2000 when I was sitting in a workshop. I just turned 24. It's crazy to think that I'm almost to that hill. I turned 40 in April. So, but it's been a lot of fun, and I have learned a tremendous amount, as I have shared a lot with you, as much as I possibly can. Even diving into some personal areas. But the reality is that trading is a great place to learn a lot of life skills that will help you in normal, regular life. I mean, I can look at my life, and even though I've had some challenges there, the skills and the things that I've learned from trading have tremendously helped me in my own personal challenges. So, but the thing is that if you understand what the market is and what's available and what it can do for you, and you believe strongly enough in it, then you got to fight for it, and you will. And I have, and it's not been easy. It's been challenging for me, and I will. You have to fight to be successful, and it's a constant fight. It never goes away. So, with that being said, and I will check once in a while to make sure this thing's still recording. I saw something interesting today, gentlemen. I thought I had mentioned him last week, but I didn't. That I know is also a trader. I've met him a couple times. I don't know him extremely well, but we are Facebook friends. And he puts posts up sometimes that are interesting and have to do with things that I don't get heavily involved in. I mean, it's not. He's into currencies and a lot of other economic data stuff that I don't really pay attention to, because for my style of trading, it really doesn't affect me. But what he posted today on Facebook is that he's heard news, and at this point it sounds kind of like it's rumor. It's not necessarily confirmed. He's heard news that Saudi Arabia may be, what's the word they call it? Not disconnecting, but it's, I should just pull it up, but where basically the I think it's the Royal, I think it is their currency is tied to the US dollar. They are supposedly, and this is the rumor of the news, and like I say, I don't know how accurate it is, they're going to untie those. They're going to disconnect the two. I can't remember what the term is. I'm trying to think of it. I'm sure I'll think of it as soon as I stop recording this. But so basically, the Saudi Arabia's currency will not be tied to the U.S. dollar, which pretty much every other currency in the world for any country that is economically stable and good and everything like that is tied to the U.S. dollar. So that could have some massive effect on the currency markets, but it also could have massively negative news for the stock market. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know how accurate that is, how true it is. But we'll see. Like I said, it doesn't. That type of news doesn't necessarily affect my trading, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But it'll be what it'll be. So. And if it does, and it might affect it on a day-to-day basis. So if there's a big down move tomorrow in the market, that's okay, because I can still take advantage of it. It doesn't. A one-day effect isn't going to change the way I trade, basically. So let's go through. Got about 20 this week, and going to go through these relatively quickly. There's some that are already like this one, AAP. Found quite a few decent looks, but some of them are a little iffy, and not any. Well, there were a few I was pretty excited about, but we'll see. So AAP, Advanced Auto Parts, had a lot of bullish engulfing patterns just because of what happened last week. On Friday, a lot of stuff gapped down and then just rallied the rest of the day. Short covering, whatever you want to call it. So, and this is where the definition of a reversal pattern with respect to candlesticks comes in handy to have that knowledge and understand that it is a misnomer. It does not mean necessarily that things are going to reverse. Okay, take this for example, AAP. It's been in a downtrend, it's been moving lower, and boom, we get a big bullish engulfing pattern. Not a tremendous amount of volume, but a decent amount. Doesn't mean that we're going to have a reversal and it's going to go up. What it means is we're going to have a change of direction. And as you can see, the direction of this stock has been down. You can see back here we have kind of a quasi-morning star with enormous volume, assuming that's earnings, but it only moved for 2 days. And then it basically dropped off one day and then it kind of went sideways. So while this may have stopped the descent, which is what a reversal pattern essentially does, that's essentially what it does most of the time. It doesn't change direction, it changes the direction of the trend, if that makes sense. Because we move 3 ways, right? Up, down, and sideways. So in this case, we've got a bullish engulfing pattern, we've got a downtrend, and if you don't understand that reversal means it could just go sideways, because that's the other option, and I think in this case that's probably what it means. The momentum is to the downside right now, and having a big move to the upside. A short covering rally, yes. A short-term rally to the upside with people coming in, buying the market, thinking that it's had its correction and now it's going to go up. There may be some of those. So we could have a short-term pop. Wouldn't be a huge surprise. But I think long-term it's not really going to happen. So ABC, that's really kind of what I'm looking for here. We've got a hammer pattern there right at a very solid support level. We go back and look longer term even, and this thing is still popping like that. It's irritating, but you can see here we've got some old resistance about 92. When we've dropped off in the last year or so, we bounced pretty significantly right back here. You can see not only intraday there, which doesn't show up on the line chart, but we've got a massive, massive support right here dancing on this level, and it held it on Friday. Even though we've sold off, but we sold off 106 to 92 basically. So this is what I'm looking for, a pop to the upside. We've got the big gap right here that is likely to be filled. So I think a 2 to probably 7 or 8 day rally would not be surprising. And that's really what I'm hoping to see here with ABC. I do actually kind of like this. It is so oversold. You can see what happened here last time. Last time it dropped off very quickly. It went sideways for a few weeks and then recovered. I don't know that we'll have that, but notice we had that one huge day after a couple weeks of sideways. So this is one of those where if it doesn't move up tomorrow or on Tuesday, if it doesn't move up relatively quickly, it may just go sideways, but we'll see. Budweiser, similar type of look. It's a little tiny bit above the entry point, about 50 cents or so, but with $6 of potential. 50 cents I would fudge. If it moves any higher from there, I'd be leaving this alone. I don't like. You notice how gappy it is. That's because Budweiser was bought by um, a foreign company, somebody over in Europe. I don't remember who. So they also trade over in the European markets. A lot of times when you see gaps like this, it's because they trade in European markets first, and so there's already an idea of what direction the stock should go based on that. So it gaps quite a bit. I just don't like it. CHD. Now this is an interesting one. In fact, I'm not sure what. I think I made a boo-boo on this one and meant to flip this trading plan over. Yes, I definitely did. I haven't done that for a long time, but hey, happens, right? Yeah, I meant to completely flip this plan over. And I'm going to put the target right there at that line. Make sure I get this right here. 942. Let's put the green line here. At least we'll get it close to that. 72.75. And we'll pull this up. And what was the ticker again? CHD. CHD. 81.98. Yeah, I meant to flip this over because last week it looked like it would bounce, and it did for a couple days. Then it just got destroyed. But now we're on the other side of it. So 80.03. I might have to just look because most of these I already have the green and red and orange lines on. I don't have to add them very often anymore because I've done so many of them over the last few years that almost every chart that I flag has some type of trading plan or old trading plan on it. So usually I just have to adjust those. This is one that had one on there from last week, and I must have just looked at it, not thinking about it, thinking it was already done, and didn't go through it. So, but anyway, regardless, we've got the Head and Shoulders. As you can see there, left shoulder, and this is one that's been going for a long time. Could also be considered a symmetrical triangle, but it's busted that. So that is gone, broken to the downside. And it broke the neckline in a big way. So I like this a lot. I actually would love to see this pop up and get anywhere here around 81. Anywhere between 80 and 81. I'm looking at getting all over this thing. But there's the challenge is earnings is coming out in a couple weeks. CHRW, looking for a pop to the upside. If the market rallies Tuesday, then this could be a very good opportunity. Even though the market's gotten beat up, this has stayed pretty solid and gone sideways. So we're looking for a pop to the upside there. Clorox, little miniature Head and Shoulders. You see there on a line chart, it's a little easier to see. But if it breaks and heads down, there's about $4 of potential there. Not too bad. So we'll see what Clorox brings us. ED, actually I need to take that off. Looking for a little break to the upside. There's the thing. There's the jumpy lines. It's frustrating. I don't know why they haven't fixed. Maybe I need to try updating again. You can see there's the top end of that, 69.30. We zoom back in, scrunch this down a little bit. It's right there. So this is a little bit above the entry point already, about 60 cents. So it would have to drop back some. The fact that it's been rallying even with the market being solid. And it almost looks as if the utilities are becoming a safe haven. Almost like everybody's seeing the rest of the market going, this is freaky. I don't want to be here. And so they're putting their money where they think it's safe. Which utilities, they're probably not going anywhere. Most of them are quasi-government mandated anyway. So EQT, this is a rollover as well, just like ED was. Looking for a move to the upside. Again, looking fairly solid. I mean, it's an oil gas, which has been beat up. There's been times where it looks like it wants to bounce, but then it just drops off again. But we've got a big bullish engulfing pattern here a couple weeks ago. Another one Friday. Very light volume, though. So not terribly excited about it. This would be one of those I'd be looking for a quick move. And I'm talking 1 to 5 days tops. And be pulling the entire position out. This is not one I would hang on to for a longer-term position. I think it's going to have nothing more than a pop to the upside. And then it's going to roll back over, go sideways again. So ETR, another utility company. Again, staying solid, staying fairly strong, even in a weak market. And looking at this, you can see the ascending triangle that's been forming. We got earnings coming up here on the 3rd, so 2 or 3 weeks. What is that? 2 weeks from Wednesday. Got the target at 71.15, even though the larger target here for the ascending triangle is all the way up about 76. Leaving it right there, and there's the beautiful thing that I love about this, is it's sitting right at the 200-day. It hasn't broken out. So if it breaks above the 200-day moving average, that's even better. The real target here is a lot shorter than, it's a lot sooner than, those lines are jumped, I think. Maybe not. It is a lot closer than it needs to be. But I did that because we're so far in front of this, then there's no issue. So I'm trying to figure out why it's so low. I don't know. You know what? I'll bet you I drew that on lines that had jumped. Oops. This should actually be up here higher. I bet that I drew it on a line that had jumped. It was probably down there about 71. So let me adjust this one. Which one is it again? ETR. 71, 61. It's not going to be a huge adjustment, but 69.70. Yeah, see, it's only 9 cents. That's a crazy thing, is when you start to see the tiny little differences that it makes. When you adjust this by 40 or 50 cents, it only makes, because you think about 4 to 1, if you adjust it 50 cents, then you're only moving at 10. Your entry point only changes by 10 cents. It just shows how powerful the little differences in risk reward can be. You know what? Here's another one that I think the same thing happened on. Expedia. Yeah. See, look at that. And then you get the real lines and they jump. That's ridiculous. I don't know what's up with extreme charts. I've never seen this. I've been using extreme charts for a decade, I think now. And this is Expedia 103.26. Leave the target the same, 104.72. It's still okay. It's not a huge ordeal because we're already far enough in front of it. This is another one that sold off so far, so fast. I mean, you're talking 128, 129 to 102. That a short covering rally or a blast to the upside, people coming in saying, I like Expedia, I want to buy it, and it's a good deal at 102. That's what I see happening here. I wouldn't be surprised actually to see it run all the way back to 120, 125. There's a little gap right there that maybe needs to be filled. So Expedia could be good. Google, which I almost never ever even keep on the radar, just because it's so insanely priced. The options are so crazy. But there may be a good opportunity here. You can see the old resistance level, about 611, that it finally broke out of. 15 last year. Danced around it for a little bit. And then I got distracted. What was I saying? Danced around this a little bit, and then finally broke out above the 700, ran to 800, and then you can see what's happened. I mean, we've gone from 800 to 700 in the past 2-3 weeks. So we're sitting right at 700. We've got not only a massive round number, but that's where the gap was. That's where the resistance was. So if it breaks 700, we're looking at 600 probably. So I'm looking at it in longer term, probably 3 to 6 months. Realistically, with Google, probably looking at probably 3 to 4 months of option, going out to about the 600s. And I'm not sure what they're going for. Unfortunately, where I'm at, the internet's not good enough to really pull that number easily. So, but still looks like a pretty solid opportunity with Google. So I am going to keep an eye on it and watch it, even though I don't normally like to do it. Google's just one of those. The options are so overpriced and so crazy, it's not worth it. All right, looking at HCA. And this is a rollover as well. Looking for a break of that level. Those have been dancing on it the last few weeks, last couple of months actually. And we've just been threatening this level, and it continues to push at it, but it doesn't quite break. Earnings is coming up on the 28th, 10 days away. So got to be careful, but could be a great opportunity to catch the break before earnings, hopefully. And then, there's possibility maybe of playing one of those, which I've tried the last couple quarters to catch those where, you get the earnings play. Just haven't had any success with it, at least not being able to systemize it. Have had some decent moves. But the thing for me as a coach, if I'm going to show you how to do something. It's got to be systematic, and duplicatable and repeatable, and it's possible. It's just hard. It's like the chicken trade. 5, 10, 15 years ago, the chicken trade worked well for the most part, but now it just doesn't work that great. On some things it does, but other things it doesn't. And so it's not really a spectacularly effective strategy most of the time. And at least the last 5 or 10 years, I think that the only way to effectively trade that strategy is to go pick up 10 or 15 or 20 stocks and do it on enough of them where you're going to get one or two that hit. But then the question becomes, if you don't, you have to make enough off of those. You have to make massive hits to make up for the other ones. So it just doesn't, I don't think the risk reward is there. So look at Hershey. It's challenging that support level at about 83. And there's another one that looks like it's probably jumping around. This is so frustrating. It's pretty close, though. I mean, that's not a bad number right there, actually. It's a little bit early probably to be entering. I'll just move this real quick. We'll put it right about there. We're looking at Hershey. 83.03, 82.54. It's not a huge difference, but I thought I caught all these. I didn't realize they were jumping on me like that. So, but there we go with Hershey. A couple bucks of potential. Doesn't look too bad. Mead Johnson. Bullish engulfing pattern. Not spectacular. Not terribly excited. The momentum is to the downside. We're going to jump it again. Earnings is the 28th. So, yeah, lukewarm on this, but it sold off so much that it could have a short covering rally. It could be a nice little bullish pop. Merck, it's been drifting lower and it has yet to break. So looking for it to break to the downside. It kind of has. It did a little bit there, what was that, Wednesday? It broke below it a little bit with some pretty solid volume, and it's tried to rally back the last couple days. So I like the looks of this. I'm looking at coming out of earnings on the 3rd. Oh, I don't remember ever seeing this, just the ticker symbol O. But, yeah, definitely jumping things there. Looking at, y'all know I'm not a huge fan of these where I'm looking at resistance, but we are looking at an all-time high here, challenging that level. And so not excited about it, but I'll keep an eye on it. It's what I'm watching, basically. So Palo Alto. So Palo Alto, wrap this up here pretty quick. Obviously challenging that lower level there, about 155. Not a whole lot to hold it. So looking at a target of 138. Whoops, got to get that off there. How did that not shrink? So yeah, target there down about 140. If got to watch that 150 area, that 149 level. Got to watch for that as well. But I like the looks of Palo Alto. I mean, you can see on the longer term chart. It's for the last couple of years been bouncing around 200 to 150, and if it can't hold it, it's probably going to drop pretty quick and pretty fast is what I'm guessing. So Packaging Corporation of America. So a lot of these packaging companies have been growing like mad because the internet shipping stuff has gotten big. So you got Uline and these guys, and there's some other big box companies. And I don't know if I've just started noticing them or if that's actually reality, but it only makes sense that you got Amazon becoming the biggest retailer in the world. Well, what do you expect? I mean, that's why it's interesting the transports aren't doing that well. But you've got the bullish engulfing pattern, but not that spectacular. Good volume, but I'm looking at this as just a slowdown, just like a bullish engulfing pattern does, says it's a change of direction. So it's going to stop the downward trend. We'll probably go sideways for a few days, and then I think it's going to roll over from there. So, but we'll see what happens. Simon, these guys have been on the radar for a while, kind of off and on, but I haven't seen them for a little bit. A little bit of a head and shoulders there. Actually, not really even a little bit. It's just that the neckline is super steep, which I don't like. Definitely a head and shoulders, though. But looking for a bullish move on this. Interestingly enough, you look at the volume bar was red, because we gapped down so far on Friday that even the rally that it had still couldn't get it close to the close of Friday or Thursday. So I see a short covering rally here for a little bit. Earnings coming out though on the 29th, so we've got 11 days is all. So we'll see what happens with SPG. And last but definitely not least, Splunk. This is an interesting one. Not that old of a company, at least publicly wise. And I'm guessing just realistically, they're probably not that old. But rallied from 25 and 12, year and a half later to $100, and then crashed down to 40, and then fought back up to 75, and then it's crashed back to 50 here recently. So another one of them looking for a short covering rally. Short-term move to the upside. You can see back here a few weeks ago what we had. That's kind of what I would expect here. But hard to say, obviously with what the market's doing, if it just keeps crashing, then this will keep going too, but along with this SPG and some of the others. So we'll just see. It's kind of a mixed bag this week. It's hard to tell what is going to happen with the market, but I think the odds are that we're going to have some sort of rally, at least for a day or two, maybe some sideways action, but I'd be surprised if it keeps falling like it has. But who knows? I've been wrong once before. Just kidding. I've been wrong a lot, so it's okay. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. So you'll have a great night. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.